Uh, Guys, I think we have an issue. The market is doing exactly what we've been talking about for the last many months, if not years, for those of you that have been tuned in. While we're waiting to get this stream underway, we got the great, the enigmatic, the absolute powerhouse of a finance markets player. Mr. Dave Weisberger is going to be coming on here in just a couple minutes, but the market is back above $100,000. Are they just tricking us again? What is going on? Do we actually have a potential for a super cycle, or do we need to stop being such opium freaks and look at the market just on a weekly basis and see what's going on? As we get going, as we get ready to get this launched, everybody stay prepared. Hold on to your butts because this market is going to run away from you faster than you can even say supercalifragilistic God damn, this market's hot. So everybody, let's get this music pumping. Let's get into it. Let's be grateful for what we got and figure out how we can stack into our future. With that being said, let's absolutely get this going.
Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. SEC and its policies rely on whatever Gary thinks. Bitcoin's a flight to quality. I heard that from Larry Fink. Every hour losing purchasing power on foolish shelter. It's not our fault. Blame the cult. It's the political cowards. When it comes to gas, our purchasing power just got cut in half. I sit back and laugh, open my bag, fill it with stacks and sats. Bitcoin, pumping, altcoins, pumping. I've been preparing for this. Can't tell me nothing.
And I believe crypto will play that type of role as a flight to quality. We're hearing from clients around the world.
Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pumping. I've been preparing for this.
And I believe crypto will play that type of role as
Bitcoin, pump, altcoin, pumping.
we are hearing from clients around the world.
Can't nobody tell me nothing.
Crypto, depending on how you think about it. And I believe crypto will play that type of role as a
Can't
flight
nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin, pump.
We are hearing from clients around the world.
Holy moly, is it time? It feels like it is, but let's talk to some people in the market. Let's look at some data. Let's not be so myopically focused on the price. The price doesn't freaking matter. It's what it looks like in concert with the data. So with that, let's get into it. Let's go. Holy malarkey. The price is doing what we've been wanting it to do and exactly what I've been calling out for the last many weeks. How excited the market is. We've seen it in the open interest. We've seen it in the derivatives data. We've seen it just in the sentiment. Price went up here all the way up to $104,000. And from that level, let's look at this massive bear market that we had from $104,000 to what? Wait. We were worried about finding support at $92,000, only to have the bulls eat this up in a very small period of time. And oh my God, we had another crash down here. What was that? 6%? If you are in a major, I'm talking like a major index, maybe that's something to talk about. Something major is going on. But in the scope, if you're new here in Bitcoin, if you're new here in the crypto market, I'm here to bring a fact to you. In the 2017 market cycle, I just want to highlight something so you understand what is going on here. Let me just bring this up real quick. In the 2015 all the way 2016, 2017 market cycle, there was 11 moves of about 15% to dips or more. There was 8 moves of 26 to 45% drawdowns, crashes on the way from about $200 all the way up to nearly $20,000. So did the market crash? No, it's doing what its function is, which is moving money from the impatient to the patient on the cusp of the best opportunity of our lifetime. I would argue even now with price at $101,155, as you can see right here on the bottom right, this is actually a better position for entry for the majority of the world than earlier, before January 11th. Why do I say January 11th? That was the day everything changed. That's the day that the capital channels got turned on. That's the day that we got one of the best regulatory sort of stamps of approval that the world needs in terms of the liquidity in this market. And that is, does the US support a Bitcoin spot ETF, giving access, easy access to not only individuals, but also institutions? And so to talk more about this, and we've got a lot of data to cover today and some really breaking news we got coming at the end of the show. We're diving in with our buddy here, our brother in arms here in the market that's been in for 30 plus years, Mr. Dave Weisberger. Is it all over? Is it just getting going?
I hate it when you tell me how old I am. Yes, I've been in the market a long time. Yes, I've seen this shit before. But no, it's not even close to over. I mean, one of the things I tweeted right before I came on the show was somebody goes, this time is different. And I can't tell you how much I hate to hear that, Kelly. When someone says that to me, it's almost as bad as Kramer liking an asset that you're long, right? You know, it's one of those things that makes your head hurt. But it is different. And what we saw is, you know, when it first went through 100,000 up to, 103, 104, whatever it was, to hit the recent all-time high, funding rates on the derivative exchanges, on the perpetual swap exchanges, which is what you are paid to be short, and or what you have to pay in interest to be long, in terms of, you know, it's basically like borrowing when you're on leverage, went up to 0.1. To put it in perspective, normal, i.e. natural, no speculation, steady state is 0.01. So it got to 10 times. So I was not remotely surprised to see it correct. Now, to put this in perspective, it lasted at very high funding rates, not quite that high, but very close to that, when it hit the all-time high back when it was in the 60s, you know, in 21. It lasted between almost 3 weeks at those levels, which was insane. It makes a lot of people get to make a lot of easy, you know, financing money when that happens. So it's not an immediate signal, but it's something to keep your mind on. The next time it got to 100,000 on your chart, it got to 0.03 and almost 0.04, which is 3 to 4 times normal. Right now, sitting at 101, it's 0.01, meaning it's normal. So when you see those sorts of things, you know that this is being led by spot buying. Now, the other thing that being an old, you know, a graybeard, I would say is there's an old expression in bull markets. Wednesday is trend day. So, you know, Monday you get the people buying, coming in over the, you know, basically trying to establish for the week. Tuesday usually reverses whatever happened on Monday. And whatever the trend is going to be for the rest of the week is set on the Wednesday. And, you know, it's overly simplistic, but check it out and see how it works. I'll let you
Dave, on Monday this week, the market was pulling back, and I made a comment to everybody. If you remember this, throw one in chat. On Monday, I said, okay, we're having a down day, and I'm excited about this. Why? Because maybe we're going to expect between Monday and Wednesday, probably some down time frame, but also because there's more and more, I don't want to use the word legacy, but legacy players that are coming into this, the Bitcoin market. And due to that, in the legacy financial market, trading, investing, speculation, we've seen that over the last many decades, where you get a trend built and then the reversal midweek, whether it's down, it goes up, whether it's up, it goes down around that hump day. Kind of makes me wonder, is that why they call it hump day? Because we see that on repeat regularly. And it's interesting to now see that playing out exactly the same way here in Bitcoin.
No, I think hump day on Wall Street would have a totally different meaning. That's probably NSFW. So we'll leave that one aside. But I never heard that way. But it is. I wasn't there, although my colleagues were there at Bitcoin Mina, and having people like Eric Trump talking about Bitcoin going up by a factor of 10. I mean, okay, it's hyping. Look, I believe that's going to happen. I'm on record as saying that. Maybe not this cycle, but I definitely believe that, have for a while. But also, we saw Ray Dalio, who you mentioned people from legacy finance. When Ray Dalio comes out and says, you know, maybe there's something to this Bitcoin thing, that means something. I mean, it is almost impossible to understate the capital that is going to be required, but that is potentially available to make Bitcoin go to those sorts of levels. And so we are seeing that. And it is important when you look at these dips. I mean, look at the proximate cause for the dip on Monday. I mean, it was two stories, both of which are ridiculous. Well, not ridiculous. One is not ridiculous, but it is not relevant. And one is just absurd. So we had 60 Minutes coming out with a hit piece and people saying, oh, no, the boomers aren't going to buy now. Well, okay. This boomer has talked to a lot of the smart boomers, and the smart boomers are actually leading the charge. So because you just need to understand that there's more of us than you think, and there's fewer ignorant Luddites than you think. And, you know, it's kind of sad that CBS News is so biased. And I think any story, any show that's capable of making John Reed Stark look more anti-crypto than he actually is it's sad. And the way they chopped up Brad Garlinghouse, who I've seen him speak and I know what he believes. I mean, most of the arguments he would make didn't actually get a chance to see the light of day. So that was bad, and that caused some sentiment drift. And the real cause was a bunch of people saying, oh no, Google is inventing quantum computing and that's going to break Bitcoin. And sure, for 10 minutes or so, that's right, maybe. But the next block, the difficulty adjustment will go up, and it will go up ridiculously. And, you know, we understand what the technology is. It was not built in a vacuum or assuming steady state computing power. There are many things that can happen. And so generally people have calmed down about that at this point. And so now we're back to, okay, where are we? And the smart people bought the dip, and we'll leave it at that. And you know, that's where you're the Bitcoin.
Well, you know, there's a couple other things that I think on the data analytical side probably drove just kind of threw fuel on that sort of short-term sort of negative sort of sentiment. One of them is the BlackRock withdrawed 100,000 Bitcoin to 29 addresses. Great. They're reallocating where they're storing. The other one was, I think there was a little bit of hopium that is, I don't want to say unfounded. It doesn't impact Bitcoin whatsoever. The Microsoft, are they going to do it? It's like, I mean, come on. The majority of people that show up to vote aren't the type of people that look forward anyway. And look at all the investment decisions Microsoft has made in future tech. It's all been wrong.
Forget. I feel like, you know, I kind of want to say F you to Microsoft, but it doesn't matter. You know, Microsoft is going to do, corporate boards are going to do what their boards recommend they're going to do. Right. You know, and the recommendation was already made not to. But this, the what's important is it wasn't no, it was not yet. And that is a very big difference. Microsoft is not going to be at the bleeding edge. They never have been, unless one thinks Windows 95 was at the bleeding edge. I mean, what Microsoft product has ever been? Every Microsoft product, quite literally, even the first Windows was based off of somebody else's operating system.
I was about to make that comment.
I mean, you know, they've never been bleeding edge. The closest they've ever gotten to bleeding edge, and I don't even know that you'd call it that, would be in, you know, the way they've gone after. Well, no. I was going to say Azure, but no, Amazon was there first. Teams was there after Slack and all the others. You know, their Bing browser, obviously, Internet Explorer, obviously after Netscape. I mean, they've basically never been bleeding edge. They've always attempted to be more usable and leverage their power as a company to, you know, what do you call it? Be vertically integrated. It goes always back. So to expect it to change is silly. And
well, I will say this though. What they were kind of on the leading edge of this time, and I do think it has impact beyond what people are realizing. The fact that it was so public that they had the shareholders call for basically the discussion, what is our Bitcoin strategy? Now we're seeing the shareholders of Amazon. There is very quickly, I think when the domino falls, it's going to be, it's going to be so quick. And it's not, it could be 2025. It could be 2027. But the point is we don't know when it's going to happen. And all we can do now is stack and basically base our own thesis on what we're doing and where we see the math suggests that this can go. Especially, I was just on a space with Wolf Financial discussing this with Sina, and Bitcoin is the ultimate technology that captures the mismanagement of money printing while also captures the economic growth principles, while also being able to store value. And it has the demand and supply thing mastered, because as demand goes up, there's less supply. So, I mean, it doesn't matter to me what it does between now and 2030, because I know it's going to go up. There's going to be bumps along the road, and I'm going to be there to buy.
Well, look, nothing goes in a straight line ever. There's always interesting, ebbs and flows in financial markets. You get speculators will always want to jump on a trend and FOMO in and FOMO out. And all you have to look at, probably the most important thing, look at a chart of I don't know if you go on CoinGlass, but CoinGlass's liquidation chart over the last, since June is amazing. When you look at this chart, you want to pull that one up? You got that?
Yeah, this is a 2-week chart here.
The heat map, just the totals liquidation chart that they do. Yeah, that one, purple one. Yeah, perfect. And then scroll down a little bit. There you go. And look at that. So here we have the biggest bull run, one of the biggest bull runs in history over the last 2 or 3 weeks. And notice how much bigger the green bars are than the red bars. So the green bars are longs being liquidated as we're at a freaking all-time high. And so what you're seeing there is every time it gets to the all-time high is, I don't want to call them dumb, let's say lottery ticket buyers buy on extreme leverage, it dumps a bit, a liquidation cascade starts, whammo, price comes back down, they get liquidated, clears the brush away, and off we go again. And when you see that, you know the dynamics of the market. And that is, it's unfortunate, but it's the same thing that happens in a lot of markets. So if you looked at how many people bought call options on NVIDIA and lost over the last 3 years, you would know it's a very big number, because people, it's no different. So you lose all your premium. You say, oh, I think it's going to go up by $30 in the next week. And by the way, now that we have on the S&P 0-day options are very popular, a lot of people buy options and they expire worthless. Liquidations are more or less the same. People take a small piece of their portfolio, it's limited loss to that, and get blown up. Now, do I advise it? No, I don't. I think that kind of leverage is silly, especially in a market where your strongest conviction is in the long term. But just like the old expression, the lottery tickets are a tax on the poor. Extreme leverage is a tax on the dumb, right? And it happens, and we all understand it. We don't stop it, and frankly, the market kind of wants that to be the case. It's true, in every financial market, whether it's options or it's perpetual swaps, we see it. But that said, the smart money is, I don't want to say hodling per se, but certainly there are a lot of people in the financial world who believe Bitcoin is 5 to 10 times undervalued. And therefore, they're going to trade around a core position. They may buy some, they may sell some, they may, whatever, but that's what they're doing. And that is the dynamic that's going on. But when you look at altcoins, now you have a very different dynamic. And I was in a space about a week ago, which you may have even been in there, and I was just dumbfounded by people talking about, well, Litecoin is paused to triple because of this, that, and the other thing. And you ask them, well, what's the use case for Litecoin? Oh, it's silver to gold. It's like, it's memories of stuff that we heard, basically it feels like, light years ago. It was only, 3 or 4 years ago, but in crypto, that feels like a different decade to me, right? Because it's so long. And so I'm not against Litecoin particularly. I don't really care, but there are some chains out there and projects out there that are building real value and have the potential to do real things. And then there's other ones that have just been kind of hanging out and wait for people to jump in because it's the next best thing.
Well, on that note, you mentioned, you're talking about the open interest, leverage, the liquidity that's just getting cleared out of this market. But one of the other things that I've been paying attention to, which I find fascinating, it's very underutilized by even a basic trader. You can understand this. Looking at the Coinbase premium gap, really emphasizing spot buying coming in. And Martin here, J.A. Martin, actually highlighted yesterday, identifying these correlations with MicroStrategy buys. So it kind of makes me wonder if this is that as well, or if there's other players starting to come in and layer in buys. Are you paying attention to that premium gap in any sort of way, or do you find that maybe it's just another metric that's too many ingredients to decipher.
I hate to pop your bubble. I'd love to see the actual math on it, but there's 2 points here. First, I can tell you conclusively, like right now, at this instant, Coinbase is bidding about $60 higher than Kraken. If that's what they're measuring, that means there's a buy program on Coinbase. So I can see that because, CoinRoutes, which is a company I co-founded, we have all this market data streaming in. And so if it's talking about the fact of Coinbase's propensity to be higher than the other US dollar exchanges, then I'd say that's relevant. It happens, and it's right now. I mean, I'm just staring at the screen. So, Coinbase has the first whatever bids. Bitstamp is kind of with them. Kraken is the best offer of the dollar-based exchanges that I'm looking at. I could add in other exchanges, right? I don't know where AVAX is, etc. But a lot of people attribute the Coinbase gap to the difference between Tether Bitcoin and dollar Bitcoin. And that's a different thing entirely. We did see something in the last 2 days that was fascinating. Right now, Tether is at 3 zeros and 8. So, 3 zeros. So 8 basis points premium to the dollar. That's more or less close to what it's been for the last few months. What is that telling you? That's telling you that people are using Tether to buy altcoins or Bitcoin because it's the easiest way for them to do it. They can mint Tether and buy it, whereas using dollars is hard because of how much harder it is to get dollars into and out of the cryptoverse. Particularly people who want to use leverage. Dollars are nowhere near as good as Tether. So we've seen that. Yesterday or on Monday and then Tuesday, Tether went to a slight 3 basis point discount. And so why am I pointing this out? Well, because when you compare the price of Bitcoin denominated in dollars to Bitcoin denominated in Tether, when Tether's trading at a premium, the Bitcoin price in dollars is, right now I'm looking at it, is around 70, about $90 higher. Well, that actually makes sense. I told you it was 8 or 9 basis points. 8 or 9 basis points at 100,000, $90. So it is. So that mathematical relationship is extremely clear. It's great when the price is around 100,000, makes all the math in your head really easy, right? But imputing anything into that is wrong. In fact, you're going to come up with the wrong conclusion. So I don't know when they do the analysis, when that analysis you say without knowing the math behind it, is the Coinbase premium, if they're talking about dollar Bitcoin versus Tether Bitcoin, it's completely misleading. In fact, maybe counterfactual. If they're talking about the tendency of people who are using Coinbase Prime to buy Bitcoin like Saylor is doing, then it might very well be true. One of the benefits of using CoinRoutes algorithms for those those people who are active traders and who care versus Coinbase's is if you're buying Bitcoin using CoinRoutes, no one on the planet has a clue that you're doing it. Why? Because it spreads it out all over the map. And it would never be bidding on Coinbase when it could bid $60 lower someplace else with a reasonable chance of getting filled. So I don't like the word never because there's momentum signals where it could. But the fact is
it mitigates the disparity.
Right. So as I said, I don't know what's in that math, but since there are 2 components to it, I always want to point that out because it matters. And yes, I am a market microstructure geek, but ultimately, if you want to cover your tracks and buy without the world buying ahead of you, that's the best way to do it, is to cover your tracks.
So now I want to kind of shift gears for a second. 2025 is, I cannot believe it. It is literally right around the corner. We're setting up with probably the most bullish asymmetric opportunity we've ever had because of all the capital channels, because the government sort of, at least the ball rolling towards more mass acceptance and integrations. BlackRock, seems to be getting behind it now that they have products that are structured around Bitcoin, and Ethereum starting to get some of those nods as well. What do you make? Is the question of a potential super cycle in 2025 just a silly sort of hopium phrase that people use, or is there really a real possibility for this S-curve adoption sort of kind of blow out and I don't mean blow out by like 13,000%, but eclipse, for instance, what we saw in the growth last cycle, because we start seeing this rush towards Bitcoin. And if this were to happen, and if there's more institutional focus on Bitcoin with all these capital channels, are altcoins going to be kind of, I don't want to say left behind, but are they going to kind of miss some of that capital focus? Or do we need to pay attention to some key players like Chainlink and Ondo? Like, how do we make sense of what's going on into 2025?
Well, I'm going to say a few things here. So the first is I think that you have to look at Bitcoin a little bit differently than you look at the altcoin universe. Bitcoin, I think, is going to delink from the 4-year cycle. That's not to say it will go in a straight line, because it will not. But when you have people who are accumulating it for the reason they're accumulating it, it's going to change the dynamics of its volatility. You will see speculative excesses get reversed, but what we saw in the past where speculative excesses get reversed, everybody kind of like, if you think about it in terms of medieval warfare, it was sort of like, everyone kind of ran up the hill thinking they were going to take it. They didn't. And when they had to start fleeing, they ran back, and the fall was equally significant. I don't think that's what's happening. I think what's happening is we have steady buying pressure, which is pushing the price higher. That's not nearly as aggressive as speculators want. Speculators want to run in front of them. They do. It goes off, and then it kind of fades back. And we saw that, with 10 to 15% corrections. Those sort of make sense in that. More than that would require people thinking that, okay, there's going to be enough selling pressure for them to continue to buy. And I don't know that there's enough supply for that to happen. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Bitcoin's downside volatility muted. I made a post last week where I made the point that there's a historic correlation in risk assets, which is volatility goes up when markets fall. I do not believe that is true in Bitcoin going forward. And I think that is very important. That literally breaks value at risk models, that sort of statement. I think the volatility risk is potentially to the up and back down again, not downward. And so that matters. Now, when it comes to altcoins, I'll break them into two pieces, utility and non-utility coins. I think that 2025 is likely to be the absolute peak in non-utility coins. Because when it dawns on people that you can build something that has utility, that provides economic advantages to the holders of an asset, as opposed to buying an asset that the only way you get anything out of it is by selling it to somebody at a higher price, and there's no benefit to holding, because ultimately it's like musical chairs. When the music stops, kaboom, it's going to drop 90% like it has every single cycle. Well, that's going to be a problem. So what I think you're going to see is most of the large meme coins, or the ones that make it, figure out a way to build and monetization. And what at the same time, we have an SEC chair coming in and an administration coming in that wants to change things, and wants to change things towards opening up capital formation. They want to change things so that someone could do a dog with hat meme and become a billionaire. They want to change things that people can raise capital to build stuff, right? That's the difference. So they want DeFi to be able to challenge the traditional financial system and create value. This is not going to happen overnight. This takes time. It is not something you don't just go and say, oh, I got to buy utility tokens and fade meme tokens. No, that'd be dumb, because these things take time. But I think when we look back 4 years from now at 2025, I think that's going to be the apex top in the meme economy without economic participation. And you're going to start to see projects that provide economic participation do well. And that's when that's the next big winners in the next cycle. So is that a super cycle, or is that a new regime? I don't know definitionally, Kelly. You tell me. But to me, that's what I'm looking for.
Well, on that note, we can kind of wrap it out here, because I'm holding you hostage, and I know you got things to do throughout the day. So again, before we do that, I actually just want to highlight everybody. If you're not, make sure you head over to Dave Weisberger 1, as you can see right here. I'll actually zoom in a little bit. Dave Weisberger 1. Make sure you're following him there, and he's got different links, and he shares all kind of stuff on a daily basis here. But you talked about utility. I kind of have a thesis, and I could be wrong, but I have a thesis that Chainlink is probably, other than Bitcoin, Ethereum's, I think, very important. I think Chainlink is probably among one of the three blue chips we have in the crypto ecosystem because of all the integrations it has within Bitcoin, but also bridging the Web 2 world to Web 3. Their partnership with Swift, which does with something like $150 trillion a year. We've got this new partnership, Project Diamond with Coinbase. They're facilitating basically the foundation for stock markets in different parts of Europe. And I mean, it just seems to me, you made a comment on the last stream that Bitcoin, this is before Bitcoin already 2x'd or, did a 100% move, that Bitcoin was likely about 5% valued at where it should be. It's very undervalued. I think Chainlink is kind of in the same position. I think this is, am I too bullish on this for these sort of nods it's getting? I feel like it's also, getting interlinked with that sort of knighting of BlackRock. Am I too bullish on this?
I mean, look, Chainlink is one of my, top 5 holdings. So I agree with you there. So, just talking my own book. So, which I hate to do. I mean, everyone knows I'm a Bitcoin bull. I have some Ethereum. I'm a Solana bull because I think humans like to gamble, and I think Solana is the best platform for gambling, and will ultimately be many things. But Chainlink, to me, has utility. I tend to want to buy things that, from as an investment point of view, where I understand the investment case and I understand what the value of the native token is. And I will confess that I need to do more research before, I would make a more substantial investment in Chainlink based upon it. Now, I happen to have bought it when it was below 10. So, okay, it's done pretty well. I don't like selling things unless I need the cash. So I'm letting it ride, and I've seen the news, and it seems reasonable. But you have to have an investment thesis and discipline. In my nature, I'm a quant. Trading is different than investing. Investing is you're buying something because you believe in a thesis, and the thesis is that DeFi and the on-chain world needs to have oracles. Will Chainlink be the winner? I don't know. I don't know. But it seems like a reasonable shot given the network that they built. So yeah, I'm bullish there. I just don't know the value thesis as well, and I will be digging into that sort of thing. That's the kind of thing that I will do. Just like we had a whole conversation about XRP. Last night it was kind of a contentious space. Weirdly, especially because Mikkel, who I agree with, and I kind of come to the same conclusion, which is if you believe that Ripple Labs is going to leverage their connections to be to actually win over the traditional financial system, to use their tech for money transfers, then XRP is undervalued. Full stop. Now, does that mean XRP is going to replace Bitcoin? Absolutely not, in my opinion. I think it's insane. But, it could be when I say undervalued, I mean, 3 to 4x easily, and potentially more if things really take off. And so, I look at XRP as investable if that's your thesis. Now, if you don't believe that's true, well, then don't invest in it. And so a lot of people, when they look at these coins, don't dig it up underneath. They look at the chart and they say, okay, great. They're not investing, they're trading. There is nothing wrong with trading. You can make money in trading. But the problem that a lot of people have when they're in, and why they care about so much about cycles, and you've heard me say this, is the saddest statement you'll ever hear from a trader that bought something for a trade and a quick scalp, held it, the cycle turns, it starts dropping, and they say, you know what, I'm a believer, I'm going to make it a long-term investment. And of course, they look down and they're 80, 90% down at the end of the cycle. And that happens all the time. Hell, it happens to me. I've made that mistake. So this is not me. I am not, I did this with ApeCoin back in the day. So yeah, I totally understand this. It is human nature that when we make speculative trades, that we don't continually to reevaluate our investment thesis. But that's why investing and trading need to be handled in a different way.
I mean, I always love seeing you talking in a Twitter Spaces. I always hop in when I see you there because I know it's going to be a good conversation. I know you're discerning with your investments as well as where you're going to spend your time. So I'm honored that you spend your time here with us in all the BitLab community here. Please make sure you give him a follow, Dave. Before I let you go and pivot here, is there anything that you would any words that you'd like to give going into the end of the year, going into this next cycle, for whether people are new or they've been around for a while, any sort of something people may not be paying attention to in the market, or a skill or a strategy, anything that you could leave us with?
The most important thing is get off zero. And anyone who believes that because the price of an asset is 100,000, that makes it less likely to go up as opposed to its price being, whatever, significantly lower, that kind of unit bias will actually hold you back as an investor. Look at the market cap versus the opportunity. Don't worry about the short-term price so much. Obviously, that doesn't mean you don't look at the charts, you don't look at what's going on, you don't want to DCA in, you don't want to try to buy dips. Those are all good things. But there are a lot of people out there, a lot of normies out there, a lot of new people out there who say, well, it's at 100,000, it's bound to drop to 60, so I'll wait. And they stay at zero, and they will look down and say, well, I never got where I wanted it to go. And they look down and it's double, and they go, oh, well, I missed it. Well, if your thesis is Bitcoin's going to go to 120 and that's your upper price target, sure, wait. If your thesis is it's going to go to 250 this cycle and $1 million in years, and you're buying a long-term investment, average in. Don't try to buy the bottom. Don't try to sell the top. Understand your thesis. That to me is the most important advice I would give to anybody new or who's here. And trading, the most important advice is risk management, tight stops, understand what your thesis is. It all boils down to discipline.
It's like a mic drop. I'm just going to walk off now. I mean, that's it. I think we belabor, I think, over explaining stuff, and it really just comes down to that discipline. What's your goal? What's your strategy? Can you stick with that? And what's your risk tolerance? If I know when I'm feeling in hot water, I look at what I'm exposed to and I'm like, yeah, I'm probably way overexposed. That's why I'm feeling this stress. So Dave, I appreciate you coming on. Of course, we'll be having you back on here in the near future, of course, and I hope you have an absolutely wonderful holiday season, my friend.
You too, my friend. Talk soon.
Absolutely. Everybody, make sure you go and head over and give him a follow again over at Dave Weisberger 1, as you can see right here. Make sure you give him a follow. All great content, and just jump into the Twitter Spaces when he's in those. He's always in with some powerhouse players and always great information that he's sharing in there. So again, I appreciate Dave coming on there. We got a lot to talk about here to wrap out this last 30 minutes. We got Matthew Hyland popping on here in a few minutes as well, dropping some alpha here on what I think will surprise you all. But let's run through a couple things that's going on in the market. Of course, I covered this earlier, the BlackRock withdrawal. This is kind of irrelevant now because, again, this is, I feel, more of an overstated sort of fear metric that people were posting about. It's literally irrelevant. Dennis Porter, I think one of the most important people in the space for all the work he's doing in legislation supporting Bitcoin, says right here, I predict by the end of 2025, a strategic Bitcoin reserve will be established by one G7 member country and one BRICS member country. That's two different countries on the global stage. Then in 2026, the remaining members will fall like dominoes. So the question there is, will we have that traditional breakdown bear market like people think is going to happen? And Dave Weisberger just mentioned that he thinks that there's a good possibility, there's at least a possibility that this 4-year cycle on repeat that we've been seeing may be in the midst of sort of changing because the paradigm is changing. So are things different? Yes. Are they not different? Yes. We have to take everything in context, and that's why you can't just look at 15-minute charts and have a strong thesis about where things are going. Look at the context of how early we still are in this market. So just remember that that unit bias that Dave was just talking about with $100,000 high. Well, is it, if it's only just begun? And then again, right here, Marathon strengthening the bull case. Marathon bags 1.1 million Bitcoin. We also see Riot stepping into that fray. MicroStrategy really started a whole new paradigm for institutions which, by the way, that fair value accounting metric is shifting, I believe, this week, which it will be interesting to see in January, February, March, first Q1 next year, if we start seeing more corporations have a more aggressive approach, or at least more open discourse and approach as to adding Bitcoin to their treasury. So it's not just spot Bitcoin. So it's not just buying MicroStrategy. They can actually hold Bitcoin on their balance sheet and actually be graced with the same sort of laws about accounting like we've seen with holding other types of assets on there, which is, I do think in some ways has been holding some of the things back there. Tom Lee has been making such great predictions over the years. He's also co-founder and head of research at Fundstrat. He says Bitcoin passing 250K is highly probable over the next 12 months. So that would mean by the end of next year. We also just heard Dave mentioning that 250 number. I know Mark Yusko also was mentioning potentially hitting 150 by sometime in early Q1, which I agree with. And I think a lot of people are not paying attention to previous cycles here, and that in 2013, we had a massive run-up, sell-off, then a continuation. 2017, we had all these dips along the way. I do think that we have a very strong possibility of having some pretty bullish price action into February, March, maybe April, and a little bit of softening. Whether it's a sell-off, remember, a correction is not just crashing down. A correction can chop you out with just a consistency of what you feel like is boring. Sideways price action is a correction in and of itself. So whether or not we push up to 150 and chop around a $15,000 range through the summer and then get that continuation into what people will call the market cycle top in 2025, we'll have to see how it plays out. But I've been illustrating this to you all for the better part of the last 2 years. Continuing on, what do we got? Bitcoin whales are buying every dip. Smart money buys the fear. If you're selling during it, you're doing it wrong. Smart money is buying these dips. In fact, 342 wallets with over 100 Bitcoin were created as price dropped from 104,000 to 90,000. 342 wallets buying this dip where some people said, oh my God, is this the top? Smart money doesn't think so. Smart money takes profit into the strength of bull trends. And if they're still stacking, then we've still got some room to run, everybody. All the Bitcoin liquidity, looking at this zoomed out here, sitting at $105,000 above it. This is where the magnet is. Now the question's going to be, when price pushes up into this zone, does this flush the zone, commit a lot of people long because they're so excited about the price going up, only to reverse back down? We have to be careful here because there's so much emotion going on in this market right now. And then we got breaking 1 billion USDT minted at the Tether Treasury on Ethereum. That just means USDT ERC20. That's what it means by on Ethereum. That's also one of the reasons. Think about how important Ethereum is. Even if you don't like it, it does support one of the largest stablecoin platforms out there that tether on Ethereum. $1 billion printed. Why is it printed? Because there's demand to convert fiat money to the crypto representative of it, which is the stablecoin. $1 in Tether is meant to be pegged to $1 of fiat as it stands. So people are converting money to Tether to be ready to deployed into the market. And this stands while price is over here dancing around $100,000. I am bullish as I can be. A bullish Bitcoin in 2025 seems inevitable here, says Titan of Crypto. We had a down year, up, up, up. Down year, up, up, up. Down year, up, up. What's next, everybody? Well, I do think the probabilities are on our side right now, and only substantiated further and further by the number of bullish factors that have been built into, installed, integrated, and supported with all these new capital channels, with all this legislative discourse about how do we embrace Bitcoin on a national and state level, on an international level, this in corporate level, all of it. This is so damn bullish. And then, of course, Bitcoin's warm, but it's not hot. What does that mean? Hot means when the MVRV gets up here, the market value to realized value, when price separates from this line right here. This is that measurement right here. We are still so far from anywhere near this level. We did not even get it last cycle. This is also why some actually we did get it. Boom, right here. I'm sorry. I'm looking at this right here. This is a run up here pre-halving. But we are still just ultimately very, very, very low. Bitcoin is not hot. It's okay that it's not hot. Hot means that the greed has been so, I mean, the absolute rippage to the upside, it's a little overheated. There's the price will likely start inching towards correction. You see right here, this broke through this level. We still had higher to go, but this was a great indication that you should start offloading, if you haven't already, into this trend here. And we've shown this before. The bearish divergence on this price structure right here was leading, in addition to that MVRV Z-score. We can see this right here. Let's go to the daily. Zoom out here and look at the price action here. This is that level with the MVRV Z-score got hot, and then it went all the way up here. So what does it look like right here? We're seeing bearish divergences. You see this? Bearish divergence, bearish divergence. We can see this. We know the price is going higher, so I don't need to draw them all out. This is RSI, the momentum waves with the red line, also bearish divergences. Money flow starting to come out all during this period right here. And what do we also see? There's no more large explosive moves up. In fact, I've shown this before. We have a large move. That's the angle. We have a little bit smaller move. What is happening here? Smaller move. What's happening here? This is starting to fall over like dominoes. You see all of these moves. They're kind of like, it's kind of like this. Let me do it like this. It's kind of like the momentum moves like this, then it's like this, then it's like this, then it's like this, and they are smaller. And in addition to all of this, what do we see? And this happens on every single time frame. I want you to realize this. I'm looking at the daily. This happens on the hourly. This happens on the minute. When you see a large impulsive move, a little bit smaller and kind of angled, a little bit, quite a bit smaller and angled further. And then that is all followed by the magical kicker, lower low. See this? All of a sudden it's a lower low. All these are higher lows. We have a lower low. We had all the bearish divergence. We have the rounding top followed by the lower high. Yes, this is back in 2021, but you have to look backwards so you can predict what may be happening forward. So when we look at what's happening right now in Bitcoin, that we're back above $100,000, we're kind of chopping around this zone. We're also seeing some incredible movement out there in different parts of the market. And in fact, there's some things going on and the altcoins are waking up. We see different sectors of the market waking up. We see things like Aerodrome. Let me come in here. We got things like Aerodrome and Ondo. I look at Aerodrome. It had a nice little kind of resurgence up, but it has not broken past this high. We see Ondo kind of waking up, but has not broken past this high. But with that being said, we got our boy in the house right now, and we're going to be talking about a coin that I absolutely overwhelmingly aped into because of this man's conviction. I started looking into it. I was like, you know what? I have conviction. And that's our boy, Mr. Matthew Hyland. How you doing, my friend?
What's up, Kelly? All right. Just setting this all up.
So, hey, while you do that, keep setting it up. I'm just going to highlight something here and then dive into this. So first off, where are my dogs at? Anybody out there that's gotten in the dog community, let me know. But I want to highlight this really quick, and we're going to talk about it. I said, this is a man with conviction. And this is here, Matthew Hyland's post yesterday. He said, received my Magic Eden airdrop today, and he bought he bought dog with this airdrop. He got over 2 million dog coins. I said, you know what? I'm going to follow suit here. By the way, I want everybody to know there are no paid influencers. There is no token lockup. All the tokens are out. All of them. They're out. They're distributed on a free and fair launch over 98. I think there's 98,000 holders now. There's no team. There's nothing going to be rugged. It's not even possible. It is inscribed on Bitcoin. This is, I will say this here. Dog on runes, dog to the moon is, I would argue, is not a meme coin by nature of all the Bitcoin principles that it holds. It is a Bitcoin culture coin that gets to dance in that meme narrative, except it's tapping $2 trillion in liquidity. That's why I stacked another 1.1 million dog last night. I aped into this. It's the only real meme coin. It's Bitcoin culture coin. And I want you, Mr. Matthew, to break it down a little bit. Show us the charts. What are you seeing going on here? And for whatever reason, I don't have you there. Give me 1 second. Golly, gosh darn it. Boom. So hold on one
There we
second.
go.
Oh, well, wait 1 second. Hold on. This is so clippable. Where's my face? Boom. So Matthew Hyland, tell us about Dog. What's going on with the chart? Where's it going? Where do you see it potentially going?
So Dog, in my opinion, is the strongest meme coin or possible play in all of crypto for 2025. And it takes a lot for me to say this, right? I'm not one to like buy into narratives or buy into coins. The only narratives I've ever believed was really Bitcoin and then Ethereum. For the very, very long term, I think both will do a very good job. I think both will succeed. I really strengthened my conviction on both them back in 2018, 2019. Especially Bitcoin. At that time, I was convinced that Bitcoin was going to go to $100,000, $1 million, $10 million, and I think that's going to happen at some point, probably within our lifetimes, right? So I haven't really had anything else since then. And then obviously, as we all know, the memes have become a big narrative over the last like 3 or 4 years, especially with Doge going up. Doge is essentially the biggest meme coin. It was the best play really of last cycle for most people to get into. It went to a very large market cap, but a lot of people got into Doge and wrote it up significantly. And now if you go to this cycle, right? There's been so many memes on all different coins, right? They're on Solana, they're on Ethereum, but they're just keep getting pushed out more and more. And there have been some that have gone up significantly, but Doge, or I made your mistake. I call it Doge. Dog essentially is the coin that has better fundamentals than any meme coin. So once when you reach the point, right, that memes are here to stay, I think most people now are kind of accepting that, right, that memes are indeed a thing. They're going to be part of crypto probably for the long term. They might crash like crypto does, but they're going to recover. They're clearly recovering. Doge, for example, recovering from last cycle. They're in it for the long term. So once when you reach that conclusion, you Dog essentially wins out because it has the strongest fundamentals of any meme coin out there by far, right? And I'll just go through some of these fundamentals that Dog has. I keep making this mistake. It's on Bitcoin to start, and like Kelly was saying, it's inscripted on Satoshi. So when you're buying Dog, you're technically just buying Bitcoin Satoshis that have inscriptions on them. Its market cap is now, I believe, almost $1 billion. This post was from a few days ago. It's the only top meme that's on a chain that has over $1 trillion. Actually, it's close to $2 trillion. It's on Bitcoin. Bitcoin has more money than any other chain. So Ethereum, Solana, those chains are smaller. And we've seen a lot of liquidity from those chains flow into the memes on those platforms or on those chains. But Bitcoin has far more money. So that leads to far more upside, right? It's the most secure network. Bitcoin is the most secure network. The other chains are not as secure. They give up security for other benefits, but Bitcoin is the most secure network. It was only airdropped this year to approximately 100,000 people, give or take. Some people sold, some people bought, but like Kelly said, it's up to around 98,000 currently. But it was evenly distributed. It wasn't like 10% or 20% or 30% of the supply wasn't set aside and held onto by some entity or person or whatever group or anything like that. 100% of the supply was airdropped evenly to everyone who bought ordinals. So if you bought ordinals in 2023, which are basically the JPEG NFTs of Bitcoin, you were given a runestone, and every runestone was airdropped this equal amounts. It didn't matter if you spent $1 million on ordinals or $10 on ordinals. You were given the same amount for each wallet, right? So this was airdropped evenly to almost 100,000 or 100,000 people. There's no lock supply. 100% of the supply is in circulation. There's no inflation. So Doge, for example, the supply of Doge has increased 30 or 40% since last cycle's top. There's going to be no increase of the supply of Dog. So that's another perk. If anything, the supply is going to decrease as people lose their Dog, or the wallets that were airdropped that people probably lost the keys to those wallets. So Dog supply in the long term will decrease over time while Doges will continue to increase. It has the strongest meme community by all metrics, social media metrics, and Kelly can confirm this. What happens when you post about dog? Tell me what happens.
Dude, you kind of talked me into it. I got a super small allocation. I posted that I got it, and I mean, it was like 60,000 views overnight. And I was like, wait a minute, this is an active community. So then I started looking more into it, and I was like, okay. So I saw somebody up here, by the way, Bournes asked, he said, somebody's getting paid. There's too much shilling of this. Well, here's the deal, Matthew, how much have you been paid in any currency whatsoever, or back rubs, or any, it doesn't matter what it is. Have you been paid anything in any regard regarding Dogcoin?
Not a single penny. And if anything, it took me a lot to actually start to post about it, because it was actually the opposite, where I never posted about memes. The only meme I ever posted about was Pepe, and I wasn't paid to show that either. And that ended up, and I said at the time, I thought that was going to go up 50x, and it's up 26x since then. So for dog, no one's getting paid. All the supply is out there. It's a free, fair community. Anyone can jump in. In my opinion, right, just fundamentally based on all the memes and metrics, there's nothing like it. It can't be replicated. None of these other memes can replicate it because they're not on Bitcoin. They don't have the liquidity that Bitcoin has. They don't have the security that Bitcoin has. They were all created in different ways, where most of them have a certain amount of supply set aside. There's insiders, there's KOLs. They need people. They're paying people to promote these meme coins. No one's paying anyone to promote dog at all. It's literally community driven. It's basically the Bitcoin standard of memes. If we go back to my post, let's see what else I had left here. Strongest meme community, all the social media metrics. You can ask Grok. The amount of mentions dog is getting is exceeding even Doge or Shiba or any of the top memes. It's getting more talked about. That's because it has the strongest community, because it's not paid for, it's not bought. People are loyal to it, unlike the other memes where people just hop to the next hot meme. That, they're just chasing whichever ones. The dog people are Bitcoin at heart. They tested Bitcoin, the Bitcoin network, so they have probably a longer term view than most of the other meme communities. It's the only meme coin in the top 15, which I think it's up to like the 11th or 10th spot now without a tier 1 exchange listing. That's probably going to change, right? That's probably also why the price is going up.
So wait a minute. Why does that matter? Because, as I was just showing here, this is the various markets you can find it on: BitGet, Mexi, Gate.io, BingX. You can swap through your Xverse wallet, LBank, XT, Novadax, Hotcoin, CoinW. But the tier 1 exchanges, what does that mean? And why would that be important? Like what happened, for instance, give me a couple examples, maybe with Pepe or some of the other coins once they get listed. Does it have some sort of buying effect on it?
Oh, definitely. When a coin gets listed on a tier 1 exchange, it opens up the pathways to buy the coin, right? A lot of people want to buy dog, but they're unable to because it's not listed on an exchange in the US. And then buying on Bitcoin is not something familiar with people. But despite all that, right, it's still dog is at higher market caps than multiple meme coins that do have these listings. So that goes to show its strength. But with that said, Kraken has hinted at it at least probably almost a half dozen or dozen times at this point over the past few weeks.
Well, wait. To that point, they did a deal where they posted Baby Doge. I can't even remember. There's a list of like 8 or 9 different things that they're teasing.
No. If you go to the Kraken Pro Twitter, I can't log in because I'm on a different web browser that I'm using on because this website wasn't working, the webcam website. Go to the Kraken Pro Twitter and then scroll down a little bit. They posted a tweet less than 24 hours ago, or about 24 hours ago, right there. And look what it says: Kraken listings, and then what's right there? The dog. So this is going to happen. Also, OKX is allowing deposits and withdrawal of dog coin.
Well, I want to pause you. Though. This is what I was talking about before you so rudely cut me off when I was about to share some facts about dog here. Look at this, Pepe. Okay. Let's see. Doge. Oh, 25K. Okay. Floki. Okay. And then we see Mudang. Okay. Sheeb. Okay. Dog. 525. This absolutely eclipsed
Yep.
This is what I'm talking about with engagement. And markets know this, because you know what? These exchanges, they make money on trading, whether or not, because the whole community, nobody's paying to get these listed like every other coin, because those all have teams with lockups and marketing budgets. Dog doesn't. The fact that this has so much engagement eclipses all that, because they know if this community is so large, they can make all that money on the back end from the trading fees when people get involved.
Yeah, definitely, and it'll be a huge benefit to any exchange that lists dog. Like, if it's Kraken, they're going to see a huge influx of people buying it, and the other exchanges are going to see that, and they're going to have, eventually have to do the same. There's just too much demand out there. There's just too much engagement. By all metrics, dog is just far out exceeding everything. It just it just doesn't have the tier one exchange listing, but when that changes, then uh, it'll be a lot different. And the reason why also is because it is a new system. It's not on Solana or Ethereum, so they already have their systems built. And also, a lot of these coins will pay, like Peanut, I think, paid Binance 10% of the supply of the entire Peanut supply to get listed on Binance. Dog's not doing that. They're not going to give Binance, anything, not 1%, not
So
one
how
penny.
would they be able to list it if nobody's giving them the tokens?
They're going to have to buy it on the open market and then, push the price up in the process of that, or enable deposits and withdrawals also. But they're going to have at least some sort of supply to start on their own, which means that they're going to have to buy it, which is why I would speculate the reason dog is, doing very well over the past few weeks. There's probably an exchange or two exchanges buying it because they're going to, list it on spot. So if we keep going, let's see what else I have left on here. It survived and recovered from an 82% correction. So if we go to the chart right here, it dropped 82% in the summer. And at this point, this is, its first real test. It was a community's first real test, and the community responded. They kept buying. It didn't, go to zero. It came back, and it's made new highs today. Actually, it made new all-time highs. It reached a penny just about an hour or so ago. So dog, if you look at this chart looks great. If you go to dog BTC, so this is dog against Bitcoin, this is breaking resistance. This is breaking a 5 or 6 month resistance that's been below essentially since June. It's breaking above this now. So this is outperforming Bitcoin now. This is what you want to see for any coin in general, but especially this one. This is a good sign. And let me see if we go back to this tab. So Dog's market cap currently is around $1 billion. It's right below $1 billion. But currently, if we go to, let me go to coin market cap just to check, right?
It's 965, 950.
But in terms of, I was going to look at Dog or Doge. So Doge market cap is currently 60 billion. So Dog is 1/60th the size of Doge. So it'd have to do a 60x to reach where Doge is at. Pepe, 10.5 billion. So it would have to do a 10x to reach where Pepe's at. SHIB, 17 billion. So it'd have to do a 17x. So there's a major opportunity here, in my opinion. Been saying it for the last month. Price has been going up for Dog. But I think still, if you got a 17x or 10x or 50x or 60x on something, I don't think anyone would complain. And in my opinion, I think this is going to be the biggest story of next year. I think it has a I forget the term, not like a self-fulfilling prophecy, but it's almost, especially with people talking about it. If you talk about Dog, you see the engagement, you see the benefits, you see the positivity. So then you're encouraged. You want to cover it, and it's same with the exchanges. Exchanges are going to see other exchanges that list it. Getting this major trading volume and whatnot, and revenue from the fees. So everyone essentially benefits from it. It's not like these other memes. I've made my case. And once when it leaves, it's gonna leave. It's probably just gonna depart and head up much higher once when these all-time highs clear, and it could happen. I mean, at any point now. So
what would you say to anybody that's out there that says, the meme sort of psychology is, it pumps, you get out because you made some money. But now we're seeing with this is already at a near $1 billion market cap. It seems too high. Why would I get in now?
Like I said, with all these fundamentals that are superior to other memes with a stronger community, it is, it could, if it got to where Doge is at, like I said, a 60x. And this is not to mention also it's on Bitcoin. So that means if it morphs into a Bitcoin meme beta play, then as long as Bitcoin's around, Dog is going to be around too then. So that means 10, 20, 30 years from now, if Bitcoin's at $10 trillion, if Bitcoin goes up, what would that be? 100 times in price. Then Dog, if it captures a percentage of the market cap from Bitcoin or within Bitcoin, it would probably, ride that up along the way. So it's setting up, I think, for the long term, right? If it ends up succeeding, this is set up for the long term. None of these other memes have these fundamentals. They just don't. They never will. You can't replicate it. So I think it's there for the taking right now. More and more people are recognizing it. Like you recognized it. I discussed it with you. It made sense. And more people are seeing the same thing. So it's just a matter of, it's the same with Bitcoin. When you learned what it is, back over the past decade, the people that learned sooner or realized it sooner ended up, doing better. But it'll probably just, okay, here's my prediction. I don't know if it's going to happen this cycle. It might. I don't know where Doge is going this cycle. Maybe Doge goes to 100 billion. I think it's going to flip. I think it's going to flip Doge within 5 years.
Dog coin to flip Doge.
Yep. And you know what? SHIB, I think either flipped Doge last cycle or nearly flipped it. I think it flipped it, right? So that was its first cycle. SHIB went up to, I think, $50 or $40 billion market cap. Dog's on Bitcoin. It has more liquidity than any other chain. There's $2 trillion. And if Bitcoin goes up to, let's say, $4 trillion, I mean, what would it need? Like 2%? SHIB got 10% of Ethereum's market cap last cycle. Ethereum was around 500 billion. SHIB was 50 billion. If Dog got 10%, I don't think that would be completely insane if it did, but anything could happen. But if it got 2%, let's say Bitcoin is sitting at 400 billion and Dog, or let's say 3%, that's $120 billion market cap. That's twice as big as Doge is right now. Just saying, it's sitting there, man. I don't know what to tell.
Well, I'm stacked in. Everybody, this is not financial advice. We're just bringing you, Matthew, I put it on my radar. And as you all know, I don't even cover memes on this channel much. I honestly do not think of Dog on runes, Dog to the moon. I don't think of it as a meme at all. I think it's a culture coin within the Bitcoin community. And so I've taken my own position on it. You all can do whatever you like with this. If you want to jump on the Dog train, we'll be happy to have you. Post about it. People are retweeting. It's a fun community. Nobody's getting paid. We just like this. We think it's a good play, and we're being bold by calling it before it rolls. So we're gonna have to wrap out here, Matthew. So is there anything else you wanted to say before we wrap out?
No, that's pretty much it. If you need any more information, it's all on my Twitter. I pinned that tweet that I just went over to the top. There's other tweets if you scroll through the past week. I've been beating the drum as hard as I can because I want this all on record, right? I want this. So if this does, go up a lot significantly, I want to be able to look back and be, I had the conviction, I had the thought process, everything laid out way back, basically before most people haven't yet. So it's all on my Twitter. And we'll see where this goes.
Right on, man. I appreciate you. We'll look forward to having you back on. Everybody, make sure you follow Matthew Hyland at Matthew Hyland _ And before we wrap this out, everybody, I do want to just remind you all, I told you yesterday I was going to be doing the morning turbo TA sessions for members. And just, if you're not paying attention, then you wouldn't have seen this. Come over here. If you're following me, following us here on BitLab Academy, make sure it says subscribe. Make sure your notifications are on. I'm posting them here in the posts section. And today only, maybe periodically I'll do it as well. But today I basically listed it unlisted, but I posted it on the public here so everybody can see. You should have seen this. Like 9 people watched it. So go and check this out here. Home, video, shorts, live. Yours would either say posts, it might say community, but here, this is where you're going to be seeing them. I'm going to be doing them in the morning. I broke down some TA. It was about I think it was like a 9 or 12-minute video or something like that. Breaking down, I talked about the Bitcoin price. I talked about a bunch Ethereum, a bunch of other coins in there as well. So make sure you are following. If you want to get access to these on a daily basis, make sure you sign up for BitLab Academy, which that link is right over there. It's going to, that deal is expiring because we're back above $100,000. If we break that back down below $100,000, I'm going to turn that deal off again. But anytime we are below that level, I will have that open. And just a reminder, if you join the BitLab membership here on the YouTube, you get access to these as well. Again, that's here on the BitLab page. It'll either say community or members or post here. Or if you're a member, typically they will be here in the membership area where you see the posts there. But make sure you go through those in the morning. You can comment on those videos, different coins you want to see. When I see a lot of the same ones, I will make sure to try to cover those in the morning. But that's all we got. We're heading over to the blockchain basement now. I love you all. I appreciate you all. Breaking down some random topics today with Dave Weisberger. Thank you to him. And of course, Matthew Hyland coming on, dropping all that dog alpha. But that's all we got, everybody. Let's ride to Valhalla. Adios.